Elyisa Young Rick. Welcome to Westside Level, and today we're getting into our mixbus compression. But before we actually get into it, I actually want to summarize and kind of apply a book that I read in the past to our mix. It's called Think and Grow Rich. And the reason I want to bring up that book because it's basically the whole idea about it, if I had to summarize it, is instead of trying to work so hard and get money based off labor and working hard and long, it basically says apply that same method except but with your thoughts. And the reason I bring that up is because if you look at our mix and you see each plugin we put in, and throughout the whole mix, each of these was a thought, and you see that it took time and we put a lot of thought into it. Understand that these thoughts are going to be able to be heard, and because and to display that, I'm going to go ahead and play the beat before we added any of our mix bus processing, and then I'm going to play the beat after our mix bus processing. This is after our mix bus processing. Alright, so just the sound that we created, we understand that these plugins, this wasn't us just playing around. It actually made our music sound better. Alright, so moving on, everything's routed to this track right here. So what I'm going to do is press this record button so we can go ahead and print it, and then we can turn these plugins off and get put our compressor on. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that we got our mix all printed out, we can go ahead and mute all of these plugins, engage our plugins on our mix bus. Let's go ahead and route our new mix to the channel. So you see on the playlist, the only thing playing is this mix. Alright, so now we're going to engage the pull up the compressor. You can see that it's engaged. And let's just take note to where the level is sitting at right now. So as we can see, the mix is sitting right above 12 dB. So that's going to be our goal for when it comes to gain staging. Now that we got that knocked out of the way, let's take a look at our compressor. So all of these controllers are linked. So anything I do on this side is going to be applied to this side. That's the first thing that we're going to knock out the way. Secondly, I want to put our attention on this feed forward button. For this compressor, which is our Elysia Alpha compressor by Brainworks, it starts off in feedback mode. Now, what's the difference between feed forward compression and feedback compression? Well, I'm going to try to display this with the mouse and the plugin. So with feed forward compression, it's a routing thing. With feed forward compression, it basically your signal, which is our mix, goes in through the input of the compressor. So how loud it's coming into, how high it's hitting in the compressor. Then it goes through this section right here, which is the side chain. So after it goes through this side chain, it's then routed to the output of it. And then for this compressor, there's a soft clipper outside after the gain. Now when it comes to feedback compression, it goes through the same exact trip. It goes through the input, the side chain, and then it goes out through the gain. But then what happens is the signal comes again through all of that processing, the compressed, the side chain, and signal takes another trip through the threshold again and gets double compressed. It's almost like a double compression, And so basically, the more you apply gain here, it'll actually add more compression in feedback mode. So it's a lot more compression basically, and I know that description was kind of hard to wrap your head around, but the reason I want to bring this up is because I want you to understand what type of material sounds good with feed forward and feedback compression. Usually when it comes to feedback compression, you want to put that on elements like bass and vocals, pianos, and all of those type of instruments. But when it comes to drums and percussive type instruments, you want a more transparent type of compression, which is going to be our feed forward compression. So the first thing I'm going to do is engage our feed forward compression. So now that our feed forward compression is engaged, let's go ahead and start bringing down our threshold and get some gain reduction. I'm going to shoot for around 3 dB. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we got 3 dB of gain reduction going on around here. So the very next thing I'm going to go ahead and fix my attention on is going to be the sidechain detector circuit. It's not going to be these two knobs right here. What these are is the actual EQ that they put on the compressor. I'm going to ignore this and not use this. But what I'm going to do with these two knobs is this is going to allow me to, what a sidechain does is allow me to tell the compressor how much of this signal or what part of the signal to detect. So I can tell the compressor, hey, don't look at the high end frequencies, or hey, don't look at the low end frequencies with this compressor, because with this knob, as you can see, you could turn it into a very steep low pass filter or high pass filter, so it gives you that option. What I'm going to do is use it as a pretty gentle low pass filter. I'm not low pass filter, high pass filter. All right, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it as a pretty gentle high pass filter, and then I'm gonna set the frequency that I want to cut off is around 80 hertz. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make the compressor kind of react less to the 808 in the kick, which, if you remember from our leveling, which is our highest elements. So it's going to give the compressor a little bit more even compression, but it's still going to be more triggered by that 808 in that kick, just a little bit less because our high pass is gentle. All right, so let's go ahead and do A and B how it sounds with just what we done. So this is before we've added our threshold and our side chain. Oh, let me go ahead. One thing I didn't realize is this side chain wasn't even on. I set the frequencies, but I didn't turn it on. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and hear how it sounds with compression. And knock it out. Take the compressor out so you can hear before and after. All right, that's sounding really good, but we still have some parameters to set. Let's go ahead and look at our attack setting. Oh, I'm sorry, not our attack setting, but our release setting. Both what I want to, as a matter of fact, we're going to start off by looking at both our attack and release and resetting them. I want the slowest attack possible, slowest release possible. Why? Because it's going to be the most transparent compression. It's going to be the least that the compressor is reacting. So then I can from here slow tailor how much of the compressor I want to sustain and how much of that the attack I want to go ahead and add to the compressor. So with that being said, let's go ahead and fix our attention on the release. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to play the beat, and I'm going to start moving the release up milliseconds. Right now we're at 6.60 milliseconds. So we're trying to get it to sustain. We're trying to get our mix to sustain as much as it can without it being squashed, because once it becomes squashed, it'll actually lower the volume of our mix. So let's go ahead and listen as I'm pulling that release time up and longer for the beat to get thicker. So let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, and as you can hear, when I set our release to 150 milliseconds, you could see that the drums got a lot thicker. Listen to that kick drum. I'm going to go ahead and bypass our compressor. This is before. This is after. And as you can hear, it got a lot thicker. Now that same type of thickness that we got from our release, we can get that out of our attack too, but we got to be very careful with the attack, because if we give it too much attack, remember, we're going to destroy the punch, the knock of our track, which is our transient. So let's go ahead and set our attack time. All right, so we did lose some punch when we set our attack time to 70 milliseconds, but we got a lot of thickness out of it, and it didn't really destroy the punch of our track. So what I want to do is go ahead and do a before and after, and let's go ahead and hear how it sounds after we set our attack time that long. We got our compression sounding really good right now. We got everything set to the groove and the attack that we want. But now that we got that set, let's fix our attention back on the meter so we can see if everything is gain matched. Now remember, we was just sitting a little bit above 12 dB. So let's see where we're sitting right now with that compression added. All right, so as you can see, not only did we gain thickness to our track, but we actually gained headroom. The level of our mix is actually quieter than it was before we added our compression. Now, there's a couple of more parameters that I want to talk about with this compressor. That's going to go ahead and be our warm knob. What this is supposed to do on the hardware is it emulates it puts it's an added transformer, so it adds extra saturation. On this plugin, does something under the hood. I know it's not saturation, but it does something under the hood to emulate that warm sound. So, but this plugin does have subtle saturation to it. But when you add this warm button, it emulates adding a transformer. That's what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to go ahead and engage the warm button real quick. All right, and then also I'm going to engage my soft clipper. And what a soft clipper is going to do is it's unlike a limiter, which actually compresses the sound down. A soft clipper is just going to fully just chop the signal off, and that's going to give it a more transparent sound. So I'm just not going to soft clip and just completely chop like 3 decimals off of my. All right, so I set the soft clipper to a level, and the way I was able to pick my level is with this meter here at the top. You'll notice that every time our mix bus hits the soft clipper, this yellow light indicates. So what that's telling me is what the soft clipper is reacting to. And what I wanted it to do is only react to the kick drum and the 808 and maybe the clap. But I didn't want it reacting to any of the instrumentation. So what I want you to notice when I play it back is this yellow light, and just notice what it's reacting to. All right, now that's sounding amazing. So now that we got our compressor completely set up, let's go ahead and give it a before and after. And we're not going to gain match with this compressor because we actually didn't gain any level. We actually lost level. We gained headroom. So we can level it back up with saturation and EQ in the next tutorial. Right now we're just going to hear before and after on what sounds better. So this is before our compressor. This is after our compressor. All right, and what I'm hearing is a much more thicker, much more solid sound in the low end. I'm hearing a much more glue in the high end. So it's sounding really nice. This is the tutorial for today. Like always, y'all niggas be smooth. My name is Rick. You just tuned in to Westside Level. I'm gonna see y'all on the next episode. Gone.